We are live. Good. All
Awesome.
right. Wow. Welcome to College Prep Roadmap Live. We had some connectivity issues. It looks like everybody is busy probably doing remote learning. So the bandwidth is just getting smaller and smaller. So thank you for being with us today. I am really excited to be back to share with you more resources, provide you up-to-date information, and really be here to support you, the community. That's really the purpose of why College Prep Roadmap decided to prepare these Facebook Lives. So we're not necessarily experts at it, but it's natural for us to be looking out for our students and their parents and the community. So during these crazy times, we would just like to be that go-to resource and provide you accurate and current information. I think that's really important. Before I go any further, I'm going to do a recap of some really cool things that have been happening the last week. From last week we were on, but I have an amazing guest with us, and Rachel Greenberg from Beta Bowl, who will be talking a little bit more about her fabulous virtual educational program. She is the founder and the CEO. And the first time I talked to her, the first thing I thought of was Shark Tank. So she is going to help and guide you parents and students if you're looking for a cool extracurricular or even a program that's helping your aspiring entrepreneur student. She will talk about that and a little bit about her background in just a moment. So Rachel, thanks so much for being here. I think having more than just myself provide information is very, very helpful for the family. So thank you, thank you.
Yeah, of
So
course. I'm
we'll
happy
get back
to.
to you in just a minute. Okay. So let's do a recap. So these Facebook Lives, they're recorded and they're going to be available for you to take a peek at and, replay them, listen to them, take notes. But, let's just talk about the present student. Let's talk about now. Last week, we did talk about the things that were kind of removed and taken away abruptly from our high school students and our college students, face-to-face learning. I mean, just within days, it was decisions made at the higher level, and students had to just be gone. College students had to get their items and they needed to leave campus. Students that are traveling and studying across the country, there was a lot going on. There was expense, there was fear, there was lack of time. High school, it wasn't as significant in terms of the travel time, but it just uprooted them immediately. And so this whole series is really to help students and parents look at it in a more optimistic way. And this is going to be, this will be history. I mean, we are part of history. So, but, for a freshman, a sophomore, junior, senior in high school, it may not be as cool is what we're looking at it. So we're trying to make that a little bit easier and bridging that gap. I think that's the biggest part. So last week we did talk about the most newest and recent changes. So we're just going to touch on those again in terms of testing from last week to this week. More and more colleges are now eliminating the SAT and the ACT as a requirement for admissions. Some of them are making it test optional. So the most important thing is to know is there is going to be flexibility, some leniency and fluidity as we travel the next couple years. So I'm looking at sophomore year and junior year. This current sophomores and juniors, this will impact you moving forward. I think juniors, absolutely 100% it will. Knowing that the test, the SAT or the ACT is optional or not required, that may relieve a few of you that aren't good test takers. However, one thing to remember is admissions is one thing and scholarship money is another. So if admissions is eliminating that particular item and they're just making it a little bit easier next year for you, fantastic. But remember the big picture. If you're already preparing for the SAT or the ACT and you plan to move forward, why not? If it's not going to break you, and if it's something that you're like, what, that's part of my high school, that was part of my academic plan, then I would say move forward with that and know that you have a little bit more flexibility, because getting admitted to a school is one thing, paying for it is a second thing. So we just want to look at the big picture. In terms of our sophomores, I'm pretty certain that colleges and universities will not make these crazy changes for juniors only, current juniors only, and then go back to the original plan. It takes so much time and so much effort and infrastructure that the next 2 years are going to be similar. So sophomore parents and students, just be aware of that. Come to College Prep Roadmap Facebook page. I will be sharing information, making sure this information is current and up to date, and it's accurate, because there's a lot of times people are talking, and if it's not coming from the official source, then we can really get mixed messages. And so we don't need that right now. What we need is we need reliable, accurate information. Information coming from your schools is number one. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on. They're going to steer you in the right direction. College Board and ACT for our high school students. Yes, they are going to tell you when tests are canceled. And I know right now, juniors and sophomores that have prepared to take the tests, I feel for you, because they have been removed. Those dates have been canceled. And right now, the only dates that are available, hoping they don't change, is College Board, the SAT has their June test, and ACT has July. So highly recommend that you are registered, so you're ready to go. And if in fact those tests are canceled, at least you have a secure spot, and then moving forward, they can add you to a future date. So even looking at the late summer and fall dates, when those dates open, register, okay? Even if a college or university is not requiring the test, why not? Just take it to be certain that you've given it your 100%, and that you have that option, because we want options. I think that's really important. So that would be for the sophomores and the juniors. And AP, as we talked about last week, AP is moving forward, going from the 3-hour test to a 45-minute essay portion only. And yes, colleges and universities are agreeing to accept this score, this AP score, if the student earns the score that they're looking for to get the credit. Now, we talked about that last week, and I wasn't certain. I didn't have information that was accurate. A lot of colleges and universities were really toying around with, will this 45-minute exam provide us the information that we need to advance our college students to the next level in a particular subject area? Will it be enough information? And there were a lot of question marks, but because students are not in charge, they have no control, the College Board just did whatever they could do to salvage the students' success and future. So they ended up making this exam a little more, modified, and making it a short version, and it will be done remotely. So rest assured, students, the 45-minute test will be a serious test. There is a lot of support for you through the College Board, and your AP teachers are just killing it. They are working endless hours, up all day, up all night, trying to help you. They're available. They are your, go-to, the liaison that you need to connect with. Continue just, doing what you're doing, preparing Zoom sessions, emailing your teachers with any questions that you have. They are there for you, and I can't thank them enough. They are on the front line. They are there to answer any of your questions and make this transition from the 3-hour test to 45 minutes as smooth as possible. And that even goes to classroom teachers, just in general, a general statement. High school and college teachers and professors are available. You can just reach out to them. I heard last week in our session, we had a guest, Tony Ward, and he had mentioned one of his kids only has one Zoom session out of all classes that his daughter and son have. So a great tip would be email that teacher and ask the teacher that doesn't have a Zoom session scheduled for the class if that teacher has 10 or 15 minutes to schedule a Zoom call, so that you can ask questions, because the more answers you have, the better you'll feel, and you don't want to just rely on what you know. Group chats with your friends, that's great, but getting it from the source. And I think Rachel probably agrees, as a mentor and a coach, coaching students, you love when questions are asked of you, because then you're able to provide the information and the accurate information. So I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Our freshman students, right? Um, our freshman students in high school, well, you know what? It is business as usual. We mentioned it last week. Keep your foot on the gas, all four grade levels, especially our seniors and our freshmen, because they're the bookends. Seniors are like, this is crazy. I've been accepted to college. I need to make a decision. Either May 1st, June 1st, and some are pushing it back to July 1st. I haven't been on the campus. Yikes, you know what? I'm fed up with this. And that's not really the message I want to send. It's like, keep doing what you need to do, show your true colors, be the person that you are, regardless of what's going on around you. And for freshmen, you're like, I just started high school. It's like, this is interesting. My freshman year just got cut short. And you know what? It's okay. So do what you need to do, follow your remote learning lessons, reaching out to your teachers, and staying connected with your friends. Very important for that social component, which is missing. And I know in-person conversations are a little bit more, um, I don't know, they're just better. They feel better versus just going through the screen and talking, through Zoom or through FaceTime or texting and all that. But with that said, there are going to be more virtual resources and virtual tours you can check on, for college campus visits and visit tours. The colleges and universities are building amazing virtual on-campus tours. Highly recommend, you've got downtime, highly recommend doing these tours online, taking a peek, and starting that college process, that college research process. That would be for our current freshmen and our sophomores. Our juniors, you already have a list. You've been working on this. This isn't new to you. But it's important to do the research. Research is huge, and a lot of times students are so busy with extracurricular, crazy schedules, they don't have the time to do these extra things. And today's segment, we are going to be talking about what you can do with your extra time. And the college process, the research process, is huge. That's a big component, making sure that you are researching colleges and identifying schools that are important to you for the right reasons. I think it was mentioned last week by Deborah Blashaw. It's like, it's not the sweatshirt or the football team or the soccer team that's going to make you, it's going to be the wow factor. It has to be the more academic, the things on campus that are going to connect with you for that fit. So that's really, really important. And let's talk a little bit about what can your students do with this extra time. Now, everyone right now is kind of at an even playing field. Our athletes, this is tough because you have set schedules, you have workout sessions, you have, if you're in the season, if it's a spring sport, you'd be playing right now. What about our fall athletes that have been recruited, or our juniors that want to be recruited, or sophomores that want to be recruited? Coaches are hoping that you maintain a schedule. They are counting on you when this quarantine is lifted. It's go time. So there isn't any time for you to be like, yeah, I took 3 months off and I decided not to work out and I devoted, a lot of my energy to X. And now it's time to go to practice. And now it's time to sit down and have a team meeting and you're not in shape. Coaches need you. So if it's finding a schedule and maybe you're already doing it, fantastic. I'm assuming coaches are connecting with their players as teachers are connecting with their students and hoping that they are maintaining a very similar schedule, a workout schedule, a running schedule, anything to keep you in shape, keep your mind focused on the next season. So that really, really is important. And then also, I'm getting a lot of emails from parents. What can my students do besides their homework, besides attending Zoom sessions and doing everything they can academically? What can they do? And there are some amazing things out there in terms of virtual volunteering. Just Google volunteering virtually, and there are so many amazing opportunities. Meals on Wheels are looking for, licensed drivers to be able to deliver meals to the elderly. And then also, I am going to now bring up and introduce Rachel Greenberg, who we connected several months ago. And what really I guess inspired me was her background in terms of her finance background, and then coming to full circle and currently working with students and helping them at a younger age understand a business model and delivering a pitch and all those good things. And I was just like, this is just the coolest thing. So I would like to introduce to you Rachel, and she's going to take it from here, and then we will wrap up with some questions and some tips for the rest of the week. So Rachel, thanks again for being part of this live session.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, Doreen. And to touch on what you were saying, well, first I'll just give a bit on my background and then kind of circle back to how students are coping right now. So I do come from finance. I worked for 3 different firms on Wall Street in asset management and investment banking, and then I left to work with startups. And I'm currently on my 3rd or 4th company, and this is the first one where I am personally working one-on-one with students. It's very interesting because most of my companies they're all digital, and most are in the e-learning space, but it's very different when you're e-learning and you're specifically in the education space, but also within the business niche. So when we started Betable, we actually brought it to business schools, and we had about 170 university business students go through the program, as well as professors, heads of entrepreneurship. So what we're teaching students is not a watered down curriculum. This is what they're going to get if they go, to an entrepreneurship class at a top business school at pretty much any renowned university across the country. But the reason that the program, I think in just the past 3 weeks, I mean, honestly, we've seen more enrollments than we have for an entire year. And it's because people are looking for virtual enrichment. And our program has always been virtual. And it's something that we just think there's really no reason why you can't, learn about business, even start your own business from pretty much anywhere. We do pretty much focus on the US, but we've had students who are studying abroad. We've had interest from students in Canada. So it really doesn't matter where you are. We have students in all time zones at all times, always enrolled. So that's why it's virtual. The reason that's important now is I was talking with a couple of students the other day, and they were saying that their college counselors were telling them how the colleges that they're applying to are going to be evaluating them in a very different way. And these were juniors who I was talking to, and pretty much telling them that extracurriculars are going to matter a lot more now. And extracurricular involvement is always important, as is, every aspect that makes up a student. So your GPA, your SATs, what have you. But the difference is this quarantine period, as weird as it is, and it's weird for everyone. It's weird for adults, it's weird for business owners, some businesses. It's like people are in 2 camps. They're either very slow, not busy, bored out of their minds, wondering what to do, and that goes for students also, or they're really busy and overwhelmed. And I think the way colleges are going to be looking at it is, how did you make the most of this time? So it doesn't have to be through building a business or joining Betable, but anything that you're doing to really set yourself apart in this time is going to be really looked upon, and you're just going to come across as a cut above the rest of the students. Because if you're a student who's sitting home bored, you just know that there's some impact you could be having. And whether it's making masks, helping out with delivery for people, I mean, those are basic things, but that shows a real need. It actually shows an entrepreneurial spirit either way. And you're going out of your way to help the community. The students that we have go through our program, it's a virtual entrepreneurship program. So they are learning about and building their own business, but some of them are interested in building a nonprofit. Some of them are interested in having a charitable angle, which we do encourage for a lot of them, so that they can have that, aspect of how is your business helping the community. And it also incentivizes sales. It's good business for anyone to do something to give back. It's just a best practice. So that's kind of where we are. And we offer a lot of different programs. And for the first time, we've even offered shorter immersions and things during the school year, just because we want to make sure any student who's looking for enrichment at this time is able to get in and do that right now. And I mean, it's not like you have to commit to anything huge. I'm not even talking about Betable. I'm talking about whatever you look at for enrichment, whether it's an hour a day or a few hours a week, just showing that you are committed to doing something with your time. Because what universities want to see, and down the road, what employers are going to want to see, is a motivated, intellectually curious person. So that's not going to be someone who's satisfied sitting at home, maybe, on some Zoom calls, doing the bare minimum for their coursework, and then just relaxing. Because I know for anyone who I've talked to, student or adult, the first 5 days of quarantine, relaxing might have been fun. By day 6 and 7, people were going crazy. And I even have former students who are already admitted into college. They don't need any extracurricular involvement. These are really bright, top students who have been begging me for opportunities to intern with us, work with us, because we do take on former students and graduates as interns from time to time. And they're, saying, we are really bored, we want stuff to do. And I've gotten that request from more than a few of them. So there are, there's a need everywhere for students to be doing something. And I think feeling helpless is just not something that anyone should feel, whether you're a parent or a student. Like Doreen said, even if you just start with Google, what can I do? Virtual opportunities from home, anything like that, I would really suggest it because it's just the perfect time now. And that excuse of I didn't have time, I was so busy with my schoolwork, which is, a lot of students do say this from junior year, sometimes sophomore year, and especially seniors. They're too busy because they do have to think about college applications. They do have to think about standardized tests, and they're taking a bunch of APs. Well, now you don't really have that excuse. So you don't have that excuse personally to hold yourself accountable for what are you doing with your time, but you also don't have that excuse on your college application. And so if you do end up, going for an interview, whether it's a college interview, whether it's a scholarship interview, whether it's for an internship, you're probably going to get asked the question, how have you made the most of your free time? So I think it's really impressive for students who have taken that initiative and, shown that they are self-driven, motivated go-getters who go out and do things like Beta Bowl or other virtual programs where they can really learn something, develop a skill, and also create something unique themselves.
Awesome. I have a couple questions because I did get some parents that emailed me questions that were not able to be on the live. They're going to just watch the recording. So a student is involved in sports. Sports, as we know nowadays, is just a huge commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have a business interest,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. And so they really are interested in your particular program. What would be a time commitment? So you touched on it where you've got different, if you can just expand on that.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a flagship program, which is a 12-week program, and students who go through that get a lot of one-on-one help, and it's the most robust curriculum that we have. So for those students, it's on average 2 hours a week. We do have some shorter programs. We have 5-day immersions in the summer, which are a bigger commitment for that 1 week. So that could be 4 to 6 hours a day for 5 days because we're really cramming a lot in. We have a condensed summer 6-week program, which is like in between those two, and that's about 2 to 4 hours a week. And then for these short virtual programs that we're offering right now, we have really limited enrollment just because we're only offering them in April and May, but we're offering as many of them as we can. But that's a 2-week program. So for anyone who does a 2-week program right now, it's about an hour a day, 1 to 2 hours, but for the most part, an hour a day. And they come away with a lot of the same skills they would in our 12-week program. It's definitely not as robust because you just can't simply cram 12 weeks of one-on-one or 12 weeks of what they're learning and creating into 2 weeks, but you can definitely get a really good entrepreneurial kickstart. And they do come out with, a unique business plan, a marketing strategy, a financial model, a pitch deck. And the students that we work with one-on-one, we write them recommendation letters that are hyper-specific and personalized. There is no template. And I bring up these letters because I don't think it's necessarily the main reason students take our programs, but I think it is the reason why a lot of students take the 12-week program, just because they want that recommendation that shows my student has gone through this 12-week program, built their own business, worked with a startup mentor one-on-one, come out with all these different assets to a business. We have a pitch competition at the end of the 12-week program. So, they've created a business pitch deck. They've had investors judge and review that. And this is a recommendation that reflects all of that growth. I had a student email me yesterday who is waitlisted for Caltech, and Caltech is a very selective school. And he asked me for some of his waitlist materials to write a personalized recommendation letter why he, specifically would be well suited for Caltech. And he's a very bright guy and has great technical acumen as well as business and entrepreneurial interests. So writing the letter wasn't difficult. We already had a letter on file for him, but we modified it completely for Caltech, and he's submitting that. So and that's a senior right now. So even seniors who go through our program, and he went through it back in 2019. they still contact with us, whether they're
Nice.
working with us as interns. A lot of them have offered just voluntarily to talk to interested parents and students, and requesting those recommendation letters. So we definitely work with those students for the long haul.
I love that. The one thing that comes to mind, thank you. I think that was very helpful. I think the one thing that comes to mind is, as a college counselor, independent counselor, we're always trying to encourage our students to obviously do well in the classroom. Academic is the foundation of their future, but to start early. Starting early just gives you more time. It eliminates the stress. I honestly say that a good majority, I'd say 50–60% of the parents that I work with, they're starting junior year. Parents and students, I should say, they're inquiring about like, hey, what could we be doing differently? Or, we need additional support. And that's all great. But if a student can just start to get to know who they are and invest in themselves, and not, hours and hours and hours, but really get to know who they are. And if there is a sense of business, or they have an interest, this is nice because they're getting their feet wet. They're able to explore this option. They're able to learn from you about creating a business plan and then executing it. I mean, I don't know where you're going to get that at a young age. In college, you're going to take business classes, and I know business schools have some cool entrepreneurial programs. I've visited lots of colleges across the country, and it's a wow. But that's college, and it's nice to be able to have that information now, so that you can explore those different avenues. So that's the part that I really love. And the letter of recommendation, I think that is helpful. Now, in terms of applying to college, typically, just for parents, just so you know, typically they are academic letters from core subject areas. The college wants to see the 5 subject areas: the math, the English, social science, history and foreign language, science, social, and but the other letter could be used, and that really could be the breaking point. That could add that extra valuable piece of information. Just the letter of affirmation that the student did do something, and it's different, it's unique. And I always tell students, you're not looking for something unique just to say you did it. There has to be an interest. And by, being in a program like yours, if it's the short, summer modified schedule or summer session, or the 12-week, you're going to figure it out. I mean, you definitely will be able to, identify if this is something you want to pursue in college and you want to major. Have there been any students that are now currently in college that went through your program that you can, kind of give a little story about, or a competition of some sort?
Yeah. So, we have some graduating seniors right now who ended up winning our 2019 fall competition. And so we award, it's like a $1,500 prize to students who win that 12-week program competition. And they also use their pitch deck and submitted it to a subsequent competition. They had actually won national business competitions in addition, but they recently were announced as winners in the as finalists, in the University of Houston think tank business plan competition, where they're competing with the Beta Bowl business. And so using that winning business plan, it was really cool and validating to see, not that, it works in a business competition because I built businesses, I know what these skills are, but to see that a university has affirmed it, because this is a university run competition. So that was really cool. I'm not sure if any of those students are going to University of Houston. I'm still hearing back from everyone on their final college decisions. But I can tell you, it's really good news. I mean, they're getting into really top schools, and we don't just have top students and valedictorians in this program. I think that's really important to stress, because we do get, questions all the time from parents who are, number one question, does my teen need any prior business experience? Do they need, advanced math knowledge? And the answer is no. But the other thing is, my teen isn't, the top valedictorian. They're not going to be going to Harvard or Stanford. Will they be able to do this program? And completely. We have such a wide variety of teens, and some of them, we're working with a student right now who already has multiple businesses. He's built a, drop shipping company, and he has a few other, just in all different niches, and he's still going through the program, but it's very evident in all of his coursework that he's really, really well versed in what he's doing. I would be shocked if this kid doesn't go on to major in business or at least, pursue an entrepreneurial path. But then we have other students who have never done anything like this, and they're learning so much. So for them, it's not just like where they come in, it's seeing their progress. And I think that's also what their recommendation letter speaks to. It's the progress they make over the program. You can come in with zero business knowledge and then come out with an entire, financial model and business plan.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And so I do think that this is valuable. I think this is today, being in this quarantine situation, it really does allow our high school students and college students, but primarily our high school students, to really think about things that they can get involved in or things that they can do, for the community. We did mention volunteering. I mean, there's so much, there's so many opportunities virtually volunteering. But I have received also emails about what specifically should my student do during this downtime that will have a positive impact on their college application. And I get that question all the time without even being in quarantine. So parents are looking for that recipe or that particular formula or the two most important things that their student should be involved in, and there really isn't. So there isn't a one size fits all. This is the time where your student can explore and do what they want to do. Rachel mentioned students making masks. I have received that. The cool thing about it is I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm getting a lot of text messages about what students are doing, and they are trying to help. And so they want to get involved in the community. Other times, students they're slammed. Academically, they really are spending a lot of time in this remote learning is not easy for them. There's a group that they're trying, they're doing what they need to do, but it's just not comfortable yet. Mm-hmm. And so they don't necessarily want to be taking on another big task. So mm-hmm. There's that population, and I completely get it. This is a time where you can literally just be present, spend the time in journal. Maybe there is a series on TV that you've heard about, and there's just no way that you can watch it because of your AP classes, because of sports, because of leadership, whatever the case may be. Do it. Build, if you have younger siblings or even older siblings, maybe it's building puzzles. Whatever it is, cooking, I'm hearing a lot of that, the cooking, reaching out to family members and seeing if they need help, senior living centers, if they will do any type of a Zoom, if you sing choir. I've heard some really cool things that they are doing a Zoom and they're singing during dinner time to the senior homes. I mean, that's awesome. This is honestly an opportunity for students to do whatever, because there's no certain criteria. And make an impact, or an opportunity when you're talking to a college admissions officer, or you're writing an essay for you current freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. What did you do and why did you do it? And I just think it is a unique time. I really do. And I hope that this time isn't going to be for months and months and months and months. But right, I think all of us are like, we're hoping to get back into our regular work schedule and really appreciate the things that have been taken away from us. But right now, we're going to use our time together and use our virtual and remote resources to the best of our ability, because colleges will see that as a bonus. And if there are any questions, if there are any cool activities, resources, please, let College Prep Roadmap know, because our information is out there. Our information is for the community. This is, I keep hearing this, we're all in this together. We are. Everyone gets it. So there isn't someone on the sidelines going, I have no idea what you're talking about. We are all equally in this situation together. So I think that's very helpful. But again, using your time wisely, but also taking the time to be you and just relaxing and trying to process this. And going back to the remote learning, because again, that's what all of our students are doing, high school, middle school, high school, college, elementary school. The remote learning will need to be modified. Some students have acclimated very well, but that novelty does wear off. Rachel did bring that up. The first 5 days, 7 days of being quarantined, you're like, this is kind of nice. Well, we're beyond that. So you're going to have students that will resist that didn't, or those that just resisted and now they're into a routine and they figured out what they want to do. In closing, Rachel, thank you. All of this information, your contact information and your name and everything will be in the comments. So
Awesome.
families can reach out to you directly and ask questions and find out about your cool programs. But I mean, geez, I think I want to sign up for like a 2-week, immersion class. But wrapping it up, last week, Deborah Blashaw was a guest. She is an expert in helping students with learning strategies and remote learning. I mentioned it over and over. It isn't always easy. And there are some key components for a successful remote learning experience. And the first one really is to find a place where you can study and work. You do not need to have a desk. You don't need to have your own bedroom. Everyone is kind of jockeying for space at home if all of the students are at home, and you also have parents that are working from home. So it just needs to be a place where you can keep it organized and keeping your things in one spot. So most of you probably have found it because we have been doing remote learning for several weeks. But if you haven't and things aren't working, just try to find a quiet place where you can call home. And that is where you do your work. That's not where you're going to do your gaming and all that. It's just a place where you're going to keep things organized with all your academic materials. And then secondly is creating that plan. Deborah brought up a great point. Khan Academy has templates of suggested schedules for junior high, high school, and college students to take a look at. If you haven't quite found that groove and it's just not working for you and each day seems to be a different day and a different schedule, highly recommend that you check out that. I will add that link to the Khan Academy link to the comments so you can take a peek at it. And then lastly, those students that are really missing out on the one-on-one in-person classroom experience where the teacher is lecturing, where the teacher is actually giving instructions and reading a lot of the material to you. A great suggestion that Deborah brought up, and I will also add that in the comments, is looking at the ebook and seeing if they have a feature that is text to, text to speak. That's it, text to speak. So if you can check that to see if the ebook has that available, also the settings on your computer. If that is available, then everything that would normally be read to the student, the computer will. You'll get that audio component, which is really, really helpful in making this learning experience the best that we can. We're just trying to put the resources together. So again, thank you so much, Rachel, bringing Betabowl to our community. I'm excited and I'm hoping that families will be looking into it and reaching out to you if they have any questions this summer or future. And then also, please continue to follow College Prep Roadmap. We are here for you. We want to provide you resources, but more importantly, we want to answer your questions so that you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and you feel like you're getting the accurate, up-to-date information that's happening all around us, okay? So from us to you, you have a fabulous day, and we will be having these series weekly, and we'll have guest speakers, but continue to ask us questions and continue to follow us, and have a fabulous Wednesday. You guys take care. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.